Another view of the unfolded on the streets of Nice, France. This one shot from a room above street level, showing innocent men, women, and children running for their lives after trying to have a celebratory evening. Joining us now from London, Maajid Nawaz, who's a former Islamic fundamentalist who now leads a counter-extremist think tank. Maajid, thank you for being here with us. Here we are again, France with its third major terror attack in a year. Why?
Let's be clear. I mean, these sorts of attacks are not unexpected. At least they shouldn't have been. Hamas has for years been encouraging its followers to use vehicles to drive up on pavements and to kill Israeli citizens. Megyn, in 2010, Al-Qaeda announced to the world that it wanted its followers to do the same, and only 2 years ago, in 2014, ISIS spokesperson Adnani not only encouraged their followers in ISIS to get into vehicles and to mow people down on the streets, he specifically said, especially in France. There are a number of reasons jihadists are angry with France. One of them, among many others, as we know, is the tragic attack on the Charlie Hebdo offices and their stance on free speech was a laudable, praiseworthy stance. And the second is the ban on face veils. So jihadists have taken it upon themselves to attack France as a symbolic gesture that symbolizes a generally attack on the West.
Let's just back up, because I don't think a lot of Americans are familiar with that. 5-6 years ago, they banned the face veils, the burqas, and they wanted the Muslim culture to assimilate into French culture, and this has not gone over well.
It's not gone over well among those who believe, and there's an austere fundamentalist strand within Islam, the Salafist strand within Islam, mainly found in Saudi Arabia, who believe that women are obliged within the religion to cover their faces. I must emphasize that's a strand within Islam, but the jihadists subscribe to that strand. Now, it's yet to be confirmed whether this was ISIS, al-Nusra, or any other terrorist organization. We certainly know this is a terrorist attack, and what we certainly know based on what I've just said is that ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other jihadist groups across the world have long been encouraging their followers to perpetrate exactly this kind of attack because it's unexpected. We just had the football games in France.
But what do you make of it?
We were
because
expecting attacks there.
Over here in the United States, we're also asking what to do. How do we prevent this kind of a thing? Obviously, it's a soft target, and it's very easy for these terrorists to get in. So you ask, okay, how do we fight the ideology? How do we defeat the group such that it doesn't want to unleash hell on all of our citizens? And, you know, query whether it has anything to do with France's ban on burqas or the veil, as opposed to their ideology that supports freedom. I mean, we see that right here in the United States, where we have no such ban. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's nothing to do with that. I mentioned it as that's what ISIS uses as an excuse, is what jihadists use as an excuse to rile their followers. Of course, we know that they will seek any excuse in any country. I mean, why Turkey? Why recently Medina, the holy city of the Prophet Muhammad? They will find any excuse to attack anywhere, but they do look for these excuses. Of course, the issue is the ideology. Now, we can't begin to defeat that ideology in this way with such unpredictable attacks unless we prepare ourselves and accept that we are in for a generational struggle. We have to galvanize civil society to push back against this ideology so that people in the long term aren't recruited and don't join this phenomenon. That requires recognizing it, naming it Islamist extremism, and then putting forward a strategy that can isolate it from Islam as a religion, and then start utilizing Muslim and non-Muslim communities to stand together to push back against it, as we've done with racism in the West and as we've done with homophobia and anti-Semitism.
Last question. What do you think the odds are that this really was a lone wolf?
I don't use that phrase. I use the phrase self-starter because these days people are inspired online and offline by all forms of networks, by relatives, by people they've been listening to on videos online, or by other attacks that they've seen. So they're certainly inspired by the jihadist ideology, whether they start the operation themselves or are taking command directly from ISIS headquarters. You know, we've looked into this. Very, very few people, if any, are lone wolves in the literal sense of that word.
Maajid, thank you.